So this movie didn't even feel like a movie, it just felt like an experience. The Northman. So The Northman is a new film from Roger Eggers, and basically the film follows the story of Alexander Skarsgård's character, who as a young boy sees his father die at the hands of his brother. So basically his uncle kills his father, and so basically Alexander Skarsgård's character as a young boy flees his kingdom to try and survive. Then we jump to quite a few years later, and Alexander Skarsgård's character is now Alexander Skarsgård. He's now a grown man, and basically he seeks out to avenge his father and also get his mother back and protect his mother and get what is rightfully his and his kingdom. But along his visceral journey of vengeance, he also meets Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who becomes quite key to the overall narrative of the film. And that's basically my version of the plot for The Northman, because it is a bit more to the film than that, but that's basically my version of the plot for this movie. And honestly, I found this movie absolutely magnificent. I love it, I love it, I love it. I think it's incredible. I'm so stunned by how good this film was. Because honestly, when I finished the film in the cinema last night, I was speechless. And that doesn't usually happen with a movie I've seen in the cinema. Usually when I go and see a movie in the cinema, and I've liked it, I go, oh, you know, that was pretty good. Or if I really enjoyed it, I go, you know what, that was great. Or if I've not enjoyed it so much, I go, actually, that was a bit crap. But with this movie, I literally sat there and go, wow, I couldn't believe how good it was and just how amazing everything about this movie is. Honestly, I love it so much. It's so magnificent, and it's incredible Viking epic. And I must admit, I've never really seen a Viking film before. I saw that Robbie the Reindeer film, which they had Vikings in, but that was Robbie the Reindeer. It isn't exactly the same thing as this. I don't really know why I've mentioned Robbie the Reindeer, but nevertheless, I haven't really seen a Viking film whatsoever before. But this movie, it's so good, because you feel all the pain of all the characters. It's brutal, it's gory, it's violent, but all in just the best way possible. It really is. And the filmmaking is out of this world. It's beyond incredible. I can't even begin to talk about how good the filmmaking is. Honestly, it's mind-boggling and it's mind-blowing. And it's all from Roger Eggers once again. You know, Roger Eggers is the director of the movie. He's just such a good director. Like, he directed The Witch, I think, which came out in 2016, which is a fantastic movie. Not enough people have seen that movie. It's really underrated in my opinion. He also directed The Lighthouse, which I saw about a month ago now. And I must admit, I wasn't the biggest fan of The Lighthouse just because I didn't really guess it. But the thing is though, one thing you can say about The Lighthouse, it is clearly a Roger Eggers film. It clearly has his stamp all over that movie, and it's so well directed. It wasn't for me. But nevertheless, so this movie, I think, is his best yet. Honestly, The Witch is a great movie, and The Lighthouse is a really well directed movie. But this movie, oh, it's something else. It has some of the best filmmaking I've seen in a period epic, and it's so good. Like, it has that visceral and, you know, rough filmmaking, that brutal filmmaking, which remind you of the best filmmaking, which remind you of the best storytelling from Game of Thrones, like in Game of Thrones and the Battle of the Bastards, or in the other battles in Game of Thrones as well, like in the Spoils of War and things like that. When you have those big battles, they were always so rough and gruesome and just so good to watch, because you felt all the pain of all the characters. But this movie doubles down on that. This movie is more painful to watch and more haunting to watch and just more mind-blowing to watch in its battle sequences than any other thing I've ever seen, and just all in the best way possible, by the way. I said it was painful, but just in the way you want with this movie. Honestly, you feel all the pain of all the characters, and especially Alexander Skarsgård's character, who plays the main character of the movie, especially him, who plays the protagonist of the movie, because you just feel all the pain and just all the temperatures of all the characters as well. Like, whenever a character is just cold in the movie, or you're watching the setting and it's freezing, you feel cold with the characters as well. It's like that whole thing. It's an experience, this movie. It didn't even feel like a movie when I watched in the cinema last night. It felt like an experience. Honestly, I got to the end and I turned to Lewis, one of my friends, which, you know, many people remember from years and years ago on the channel. You know, I turned to Lewis at the end of the movie and went, that didn't even feel like a movie. That felt like an experience. moments. And by the way, that was after my 5 minutes of speechlessness after I watched this movie. Honestly, I was speechless for about 5 minutes. Then I turned to Lewis and went, you know what? That didn't even feel like a movie. It felt like an experience, and just in the most amazing way possible. And also, the filmmaking is just, it's out of this world. Like, this movie has some fancy filmmaking in there. It does. If you don't believe me, watch the movie. But it has some fancy filmmaking in there, which reminds me of the best fancy filmmaking. It's just so incredible in the Lord of the Rings films, and just so good in the best of the Hobbit movies. And it also has that immersiveness which you got from The Green Knight. Honestly, this film is just so immersive in its visuals, in its musical score, and just in the way Roger Eggers, the director of the movie, frames everything. Honestly, it's just so brilliant. You can clearly tell once again that this is a Roger Eggers film. You can clearly tell that the same person who directed The Witch and The Lighthouse also directed this movie, because it's the way characters are framed, and also just the way things are shot. And it's so good. And you're immersed into the world, and constantly every single scene is just unbelievably fantastic. And it's such a realistic film as well. Honestly, the verisimilitude of this movie, by the way, if you don't know what the word verisimilitude is, look it up. But yeah, basically the verisimilitude of this movie is just mind-blowing. It really is. I can't think of enough good words to say about this movie. I can't think of any other cinema. But yeah, it's so fantastic. Like, you're watching this world of the Northman, and you're immersed into it. Just like that, just because of the visuals. Not even because of the musical score. Like, the musical score is great. It's a great musical score. But that doesn't immerse you into this world. The visuals do. The settings, which just look so beautiful and realistic, and just so haunting at the same time, but in the way you want with this movie. Honestly, it's quite a few moments later on in the movie where you see Anya Taylor-Joy's character and Alexander Skarsgård's characters riding on horses through these fantastic settings in Iceland, through these fantastic landscapes, and it is just, yeah, it's amazing to watch. The cinematography in this movie is, again, it's beyond incredible. It's beyond brilliant. It's mind-blowing. It's out of this world. The cinematography is so beautiful, and it's a sort of cinematography which you could just use like one frame from the movie and put it on your wall in a picture frame. It's that good. It's just, yeah, it's fantastic. And also the battle sequences are so good as well. Like, in the battle sequences, you feel the pain of other characters. Every time someone gets hit with an axe, every time someone bleeds, you feel the pain of that character, even if you don't know the character. And it's so good. And the filmmaking just stunned me. Like, I was watching the movie going, how the hell did he do that? How the hell did he do that? How the hell did he do that? How the hell has Roger Eggers directed all these fantastic battle sequences, some of which look like they've been done in one take? Like, there might have been some editing going on there, but honestly, some battle sequences in the movie which look like they've been done in one take, and it just, yeah, they're astounding to watch. You're watching these battle sequences in the movie going, how has he done that? How has he done all of that? And there's one battle sequence in particular which takes place like 5 or 10 minutes after you first meet Alexander Skarsgård's character, after you first meet the main character as a grown man. And it's a really terrifying battle sequence, but just in the best way possible. And it's also haunting and scary. Like, I'm not going to give anything away. There's one moment in that battle sequence, though, which I literally had my jaw on the floor, because I was so terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know where anything was going. Yeah, just literally from the first shot of the movie, literally from the first frame of the movie, you're immersed into the world of the Northman, and you feel all the brutality of the world as well. You feel all the roughness of the world. You feel all the pain of the world, and you instantly believe it. I'm not saying a lot for a big budget film like this. And also, all the performances are absolutely fantastic as well. Honestly, everyone is phenomenal in this movie. Like, Alexander Skarsgård, who I haven't really seen him much, apart from that time he played Tarzan in that 2016 Tarzan movie, the live-action remake, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, got to admit. But I haven't really seen Alexander Skarsgård in much, but he is his own beast in this movie. Honestly, every time he's on screen, like, you're watching the character and go, I don't want to mess with him one bit. Like, he commands the screen, and just in the best way possible. You can't take his eyes off him when you're on screen. And also, Anya Taylor-Joy is doing the best performance I've seen her do. Like, I haven't seen Anya Taylor-Joy in a lot, but I thought she was fantastic in The Witch, another Roger Eggers film, and I also thought she was great in Last Night in Soho. But, you know, her performance in this movie is so captivating and just so compelling, and just in the most fantastic way possible. And also, Nicole Kidman is brilliant in this movie. And, you know, I didn't know if she was going to work in this movie. I really didn't. And I must admit, when I saw her in the trailer, I thought she was going to be like the damsel in distress mother in this movie. And not to come such a way here, but she's the complete opposite, and just in the most amazing way possible. I love what they did with that character. And also, Ethan Hawke is fantastic in the movie. He's not in this movie much, but he's great when he's in there. You believe in that character that he plays. Same with Willem Dafoe, who's treating the scene in the best way possible. Again, Willem Dafoe isn't in this movie that much, but much like his character, much like his performance in Nightmare Alley, he's not in the movie much, but that time when he is on screen, he's unforgettable in there. And also, just, the one who plays the bad guy is so good as well. Like, I think his name is Claes Bang, and I must admit, I've only really seen him in the BBC Dracula series, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I liked him in that series as Dracula. But in this movie, he is so phenomenal. Honestly, he really is. And again, you feel the pain of that character. And just watching him as a villain, and watching him as the uncle, the person who kills Ethan Hawke's character, the person who kills his own brother inside the movie, which, you know, is so key to the overall narrative of the movie. He's just so good in this movie. Honestly, he really is. Blaze Bang is just brilliant in this movie, and I might pronounce his name, I'm going to apologise if I am, but yeah, he is absolutely phenomenal in this movie, and everyone is brilliant. Honestly, there's not one bad performance in the bunch. And on to the performances, keep on the performances a sec. You know, you never feel like you're watching the actors as well playing characters. You just feel like you're watching the real life characters. And even so, I've said, you know, Alexander Skarsgård's character is going to the movie. You know, Alan Taylor-Joy's character, when I talk about the plot. You know, when you're watching the movie, you never feel like you're watching the actors though. You just feel like you're watching the characters they're playing, and just in the most amazing way possible. I love movies like that, you know. That sounds like quite a small thing, but I can watch movies that I really like, and movies that I love, like The Phantom of the Open. By the way, I didn't think I'd compare The Northman to The Phantom of the Open, but heck, that's what I'm doing in this review right now. But yeah, I can watch a movie like The Phantom of the Open and go, okay, I'm really enjoying this movie, but that's clearly Sally Hawkins doing a performance in that movie. I feel like I'm watching Sally Hawkins do a performance. But in this movie, you never feel like you're watching Ethan Hawke do a performance. You never feel like you're watching Willem Dafoe do a performance, or Nicole Kidman, or Claes Bang, or Alexander Skarsgård, or, you know, Anya Taylor-Joy as well. You just feel like you're watching the real life characters they're playing, and just, that sounds like quite a small thing, but in a movie like this, which has such a huge ensemble cast, that's quite a big thing, and it works really well. And also, the lighting in this film is just phenomenal. It's incredible, and again, that sounds like quite a small thing, but in certain intimate scenes in the movie, when two characters face off against one another, the lighting is so key so many times, and whoa, you're watching this movie, like, the lighting is just so well done. Honestly, the cinematography is just absolutely magnificent. And also, it's so realistic as well. You feel like you're just watching this journey. You feel like you're watching these characters go on this journey. And it's this Viking epic, which is just, it's not going to escape your mind if you watch this movie. It really isn't. And also, in terms of epicness, this movie feels both intimate and epic, but in the way you want, in the way so many films like The Last Duel did, like the way The Green Knight, like the way the Lord of the Rings films did, like the way the Hobbit films did, in my opinion. And just, that's no reason it works so well. It feels intimate but epic, and especially in its battle sequences, and just in the most amazing way possible. And I just absolutely adore that in this movie. Now, my only nitpicks for this movie, and these are only nitpicks here, bear in mind these are not big criticisms, is sometimes there's a couple of moments the film did have a couple moments of obvious CGI, which I was watching the movie going, okay, that's clearly CGI'd, and that's not a huge issue. That's just like a small nitpick in my opinion. It didn't really take me out of the immersion of the movie. And also, there's one scene later on in the movie where basically Alexander Skarsgård's character and Anya Taylor-Joy's characters on a Viking boat together in the middle of the ocean, and the water that they were around on the ocean didn't look real in my opinion. It didn't look completely fake, but it just didn't look real. And I'm guessing it was CGI, and it didn't take me out of the movie or anything like that. Again, it didn't look real to me. Like, it might have been real. Maybe they did film on a Viking boat in the middle of the ocean, but it didn't look real to me personally when I was watching this in the cinema. And I was like, okay, that doesn't look real. I mean, the scene's good because it's quite an important scene in the movie, not to give much away there, but it's quite an important scene in the movie. But I don't know. It just didn't look real to me that once in the movie. But that's one scene in this 2-hour and 20-minute epic. And I think that says a lot about the movie. It's a Viking epic, and just in the way you want it. It's brutal, it's rough, it's painful, it's haunting, and it's so weird as well. And it's just all in the best way possible, though. Like, it's confusing as well, but in the way you want it to. Like, there's all the things with the Viking gods in the movie, which just works so well as well, and the performances are all phenomenal, and the musical score is incredible, and the filmmaking is just out of this world. It's mind-boggling, it's mind-blowing, and it's so good. I absolutely adore this movie. I just think it's so good, and everything about it is impeccable. It's it's almost perfect. It's near perfect in my opinion. It really is. And I think it might be the best film of the year I've seen so far. Like, I love the Batman. But this movie felt like an experience, more than the Batman did. And also, when I went to go back and rewatch the Batman for the third time, it did feel a tad bit too long. But when I watched this movie last night, it felt as long as it needed to be. You go on a journey with these characters, and you feel like you've gone on this journey. You feel like you've just lived through this experience when you watch this movie. And it is just, it's so good. It's unbelievably fantastic. And I can't say enough good things about this movie. Honestly, I've been rambling on about how good it is. But it really is. It's amazing. It's one of those movies which remind you why I love cinema so much. That's what I felt like when I watched this movie. It reminded me of why I love cinema just so much. I got to the movie and was like, that's why I love movies. Because, you know, some of the films I've watched recently, some ones which I've enjoyed as well, haven't reminded me why I love cinema though. Like, the latest movie I watched was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And that's not a fair comparison, by the way, comparing Sonic the Hedgehog 2 to this movie. But I came out of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and go, ugh, that was pretty bad in my opinion. And then also one of the things I did recently was Killing Eve Series 4, and I didn't like that either. And I thought some of the filmmaking in that, which I didn't really touch and wasn't particularly great either. And then before that, I can't remember what else I watched. You know, Peaky Blinders I didn't really love. And before that, I mean, I really enjoyed The Phantom of the Open. That's the only one I can remember off the top of my head right now. I really enjoyed The Phantom of the Open, but I didn't think it was an amazing piece of filmmaking, to be honest. And I enjoyed The Lost City as well. But again, I don't think that was an amazing piece of cinema. But this movie, I really did. I came out and went, that was an amazing piece of cinema. It was magnificent. That was after being speechless for 5 minutes because I was amazed by the film I just saw. Honestly, it's magnificent, it's incredible, and it is just mind-blowing. It's out of this world. It's a film I never thought I'd ever see, and it's just, it doesn't even feel like a film. It feels like an experience, and just in the most amazing way possible. And the last thing I'm going to say is that one of my favourite film critics who I admire, Mark Kermode, who, by the way, if you don't know, go look him up, he's got some great reviews out there. I once heard him say in a podcast that the best films that you've seen in the cinema, when you think of them in your memory, they almost seem dreamlike. They're like dreams when you look back at them. And that's what this film feels like. It feels like a fantastical Viking epic-like dream when I look back at it. And just in the best way possible. Honestly, I absolutely adore this movie. And it reminded me why I love this cinema so much. It reminded me why I love filmmaking so much. It reminded me why I love film so much. And it reminded me why I do these reviews. Because I love films, I really do, and I especially love films like this. I especially love films like The Northman, which are just so magnificent and so incredible and just in the most amazing way possible. And so, all in all, I'm to The Northman. I'm going to say that it's a 9.5 out of 10. You know, I've never given a film a 10 out of 10 on this channel, so I think a 9.5 out of 10 is the highest I've ever given a movie. At least I don't think I've given a movie a 10 out of 10. In fact, I may have given a film like Empire Strikes Back a 10 out of 10, but that's because it's one of my favourite movies of all time, and same with Last Crusade as well. But as far as I can remember, I've never really given a movie a 10 out of 10, and I don't think I ever will on this channel. So 9.5 out of 10 is the highest I'm ever going to get in terms of my ratings on this channel. And I remember, I think I gave The Batman a 9.5 out of 10 because I love that movie so much. And I think I gave Last Night in Soho a 9.5 out of 10 as well because I adored that movie so much as well. But much like Last Night in Soho, much like The Batman, when I got to this movie, I just felt this immense sense of, you know, wow, and just this immense sense of amazement after I finished this movie. I just kind of sat there in the cinema and had this feeling of just complete and utter love for this movie. I just kind of sat there and went, oh, it was so good. I mean, I was completely speechless. I really was. But I had like 10 million thoughts going on in my mind when the film ended. I was like, yeah, it was just, that was so profound at the end as well. You know, one thing I forgot to mention, but I'm mentioning now, is that the storytelling of this movie is so good. And by the way, I've heard that this film is, you know, inspired by Hamlet, or Hamlet was inspired by the Viking story that this film is based on. It's something like that. And just the storytelling is just so brilliant. And I absolutely adored it. I really did. I just found the story so compelling and so intriguing to watch, and all in the best way possible. And one last thing I want to say is that the final part of this movie, the final fight in this movie, not to give too much away here, but the final fight of this movie reminded me of the final fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith. Now, that might just be me because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I remember watching Revenge of the Sith so many times as a kid. Honestly, I watched that film about 50 times as a kid. I loved it so much. And I still enjoy it now, by the way. But yeah, the end of this movie reminded me of the end of Revenge of the Sith, and not in a bad way. I was kind of sitting there thinking, oh look, they're fighting by lava again. Like at the end of this movie, like the main villain and the main protagonist were fighting by lava. I was thinking, that's some of another movie. And then something else happens, comes away, but something else happened at the end of this movie, which also reminded me of Revenge of the Sith as well. But yes, overall, this movie is just incredible. It's the filmmaking is so good. It's impeccable. The lighting is incredible. The cinematography is fantastic. The realism, the verisimilitude is beyond brilliant, and just everything about this movie is so magnificent. I just absolutely adored it, and just thinking about it now, I can't get over how good the film was. Honestly, it's absolutely amazing, and just in the best way possible, and I just absolutely loved it. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that The Northman is magnificent, and I'm also going to say that it's a 9.5 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of The Northman? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video. I look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, bye for now, bye!